Hello once again to the weekly review of the major currencies, brought to you by forexlivetoday.com. All the latest news and a Forex community, come and join us. Straight to the charts, beginning as always with the euro, and I'm starting with the weekly charts today because we've seen continuation of the reversal in trend that we saw the week previous. So as we can see with the euro, another big red candle on the weekly chart. In context, it is sitting at this support here, this weekly support. So again, all eyes will be on what happens early in the week. Expanding out to the daily chart, and we can see that trend line that we broke, we did go up to back test that trend line almost pip perfect. So an excellent short entry for those who noticed, and we continued the move down. No real attempt at a rally, a brief attempt on Thursday, but nothing major. So you can see there has been some support that has been broken on the daily. So further weakness, a distinct possibility for the euro, but again, keep in mind that weekly support point. So trade carefully with the euro. Greece still causing a few headaches for euro bulls, it seems. But ignoring the news and just looking at the technicals, it's looking rather weak. Moving on to dollar Swiss, weekly chart to begin with, and we can see from looking at a long-term chart, even though we have had 2 weeks of strength for the dollar against Swiss, it's a minor retrace really when you look at it in that context of the trend. Again, moving into the daily chart, and still, I would like to see a break of this 90 here for some sort of strength in this reversal. It was quite a strong day for the dollar against the Swiss franc on Friday. So it will be interesting to see if we can breach this and make a new high, which would be the first new high in quite some time. So again, early in the week, all eyes on the price movement. Cable, starting with our weekly chart. If we look at the weekly chart, we can see it's kind of a range for a long time. We have not broken out of this range between, say, 167 and about 144. So if we go into the daily chart, just wait for this to, there we go. Alright, so it's been 2 solid weeks of a down move on cable off the highs there at 167.32, and I would not be surprised at all to see this support tested. So we're looking towards another close to 200 pips downside here. That is what I will be working towards or trading. Good possibility of a retest. There was some strong resistance here and here. Bounced off this a couple of times before finally breaking. So a retest of that would not surprise me at all before the move down, but I do think we will see the 159s perhaps this week. Dollar yen. I don't have the weekly chart because, as we know, we've been range bound for quite some time. As I mentioned last week, this bounce from the 61.8% fib level from the spike down to the high was a good buy. If you took that trade, it's kind of hit some resistance here on the 20-day moving average there seems to be acting as resistance. So again, on dollar yen, keep your ears out for the Japanese government, any announcements they will be making, as I mentioned last week. But they definitely want a weaker yen. So if there is some, a return to the dollar, coinciding with the Japanese government making some noises about a weaker yen, we could see some potential further upside. But we're not trading dollar yen at the moment. And the Australian dollar, firstly looking at the weekly chart, after the long-term uptrend, it has come off a fair bit in the last 2 weeks, but you can see from that weekly chart there is room really to come down and test this support, which just so happens to coincide with a 61.8 fib level from this previous low here up to the high. So I would not be surprised for further weakness in the Aussie dollar either. Having said that, we've seen these type of moves many times, and it's always been bought back over the past, couple of years. So shorting the Aussie dollar, you need to be careful with your stop placement and things like that. If we move into the into the daily, we can see that we have made that lower low. And if we move in even further, I want to show you what we talked about last week. Here we had this AB12, and I mentioned aggressive traders could enter here, or I said wait for a break and a retest. So we broke the previous high here. It did backtest about 50 pips or so, and then moved on up to 108.80. So there was some points available there, but you did need to have your stops trailed, because when it sold off quickly, and as we can see, it has really hit some resistance here. Any attempt at buying the Aussie dollar in the past week has hit a brick wall here at 107.15, 107.13. So Friday afternoon, again we saw another strong move down to make a new low. So the technicals are pointing at further weakness on the hourly. On the daily, again we've got that new low, but it did bounce off the 38.2 fib. So if we can see some sort of strength, perhaps another lower high here, then would be a nice place to go short, perhaps for a new low or further weakness. So it's been 2 weeks of perhaps transition or correction, depending on what your bias is. At the moment we are keeping an open mind as always, just trading what the charts are telling us. Always a good idea to keep your eye on these daily and weekly charts. If you get too focused on the hourly charts, the 15-minute charts, you sometimes miss the bigger picture. I know it's something that we do. We have to keep our discipline. So thanks very much, everyone. Don't forget, come and join us over at Forex Live today. All the latest news, analysis from all over the web. Also, we have a new forum, so come along and join the forum. Give us your opinions. We'll be getting some Twitter updates happening very shortly as well, so we'll try to get some more live commentary going to go along with our weekly long-term reviews. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week and see you next time. Bye.